Hi, as many of you are aware, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Unfortunately, all of us, I'm sure, know of people who have suffered from breast cancer. And in fact, I've recently had a school friend who'd passed away from it. So it's a really important topic. And because of that, I have something to get off my chest. Several years ago, I was the president of the Nurse Practitioner Association of Canada. And at that point, we were asked to review the Canadian Task Force on Preventative Healthcare Breast Screening Guidelines. So we weren't part of the team that created the guidelines. We were just asked to review them. And I should tell you how guidelines are put together. They are consensus, meaning groups of people get together, experts in the field, they look at the best and most up-to-date evidence to date, and they come up with recommendations based on that. So the best tools we have to date. Is it perfect? No, but it should be up to date. It should be relevant to that time. Their recommendations at the time were that women between the ages of 40 and 49 don't need mammograms, and that women over 50 should have them every 2 or 3 years. Now, we're talking about the general public, not those with genetic mutations that put them at higher risk for breast cancer or family history of breast cancer. And they also did not recommend physical breast exams by either the woman or their primary care provider, saying that that didn't make a difference in the number of women who died from breast cancer. So it wasn't helpful or relevant. There was immediate backlash by radiologists and doctors specializing in mammograms and breast cancer. They said that the evidence that was used to create the recommendations was put forward mostly before the year 2000, and some of it was 60 years old or more, based on methods that were no longer used. The other point was that the task force was not led by breast cancer doctors. There was no one with a specialty in breast cancer on that task force. So the task force also said that an estimated 15% of women who've had mammograms were less likely to die of breast cancer. So in other words, mammograms saved only about 15% of women's lives. But Dense Breasts Canada say that the stat is actually more like 40 to 60% fewer women die when they have had mammograms. So let's talk about that a little bit for a second. So these are mammograms of breast tissue, and you can see A, B, C, D are the differing levels of density. Well, a cancer shows up as white, and it becomes a lot harder to view it if breasts are dense. So not only do the groups that were opposed to the breast screening guidelines in 2018 say that women should be able to have mammograms at the age of 40 for general screening moving forward, they also stressed that the woman's level of breast density should be known and that extra views should be available and ultrasounds in order to ensure that the tissue is reviewed appropriately. So where does that leave us? Well, if you look across the globe, there are different recommendations. So it's not cut and dry. However, more and more jurisdictions are moving toward screening from age 40 on. And the Canadian guidelines have moved in that direction. Different provinces have now recommended that women start screening at age 40, which will be extremely helpful in identifying women who have very dense breast tissue and monitoring them more closely and catching breast cancer early. I want to encourage you to request, if you're not given the opportunity to have a mammogram if you're between age 40 and 50, and also to be sure to have regular screening from age 50 on. It can definitely save your life.